So let's look at the symbol itself. Here we see the Sussex Police logo with the double square. One square and then another square rotated 45 degrees and put on top of it or intertwined with it. You'll see the crown of Great Britain on top of the double square, because this is what they're upholding. The rights that they're upholding are not the people's rights. It's the divine right to rule that the dark occultists claim and the royal families claim to own and rule over the people because of their bloodline that is being upheld by the police in any country. Let's look at the doves that are on this symbol briefly and the configuration therein. We'll do that when we come back after this break. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll continue to break down the occult symbolism of the Hypercube here on this edition of What on Earth is Happening. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. This is What on Earth is Happening. I'm your host, Mark Passio. My website, whatonearthishappening.com. Today on the show, we're talking about the occult symbolism of the Hypercube, what I refer to as the ultimate dark occult symbol and the symbol of mind control. So we're looking at image number 9 on the What on Earth is Happening website on the radio show page. Click the radio show tab from whatonearthishappening.com. You'll see images for today's show listed. We were looking at the quote from David Icke about the Hypercube, or the double square. In image number 10, you see an animation of this police emblem, and it shows the two squares outlined in red, and then in the intersection of the two squares, then I have outlined the octagon, or the Hypercube, showing that these symbols are indeed one and the same. Before the break, I mentioned the configuration of doves on this image, again, often used in conjunction with the British crown. You see the equal-armed cross atop the crown, along with the fleur-de-lis, the lily flower, representative of the royal bloodline from which the Crown of England claims its right to rule. The doves are in the configuration of 4 up, 1 down, or you could look at it as 2 up, 3 down, and we've seen that symbolism before when we looked at the inverted pentagram. Simply connect them and you will have the inverted pentagram on that shield. Consider each dove as one of the points of the pentagram. Duality raised, the Trinity put down. Or, if you look at it as 4 up, 1 down, the material elements, earth, air, water, fire, of the physical realm raised up above the 5th element of the spirit, which is buried. What do they do with this symbol? Well, that's even more interesting than the symbol itself. Let's look at image number 11. Here we see it used. It is placed on the head of the police, specifically in the location of the forehead, the prefrontal neocortex, which is supposed to be the most rational area of the brain and containing all of the highest brain functions. Instead, the symbol of mind control is placed there on the 3rd eye chakra. In conjunction with this subversive symbol of the Hypercube, which represents mind control, being placed right on one of their mind-controlled minions, they have another incredibly subversive symbol, the checkerboard floor of the house, which we saw from the 1st degree tracing board of Freemasonry. This symbol, which we saw, represents low consciousness, base consciousness, the checkered life of the person who knows nothing of natural law, wanderer on the floor of the house, wandering between light and darkness, never knowing which is which, the pawn that can be controlled in the game of chess, which is fashioned upon this pattern, that can be moved by the chess master at whim, because this person doesn't know themselves, because they are under mind control, because the chess master is at a higher level of awareness, looking at the game board floor from overhead, whereas the pawn on the game board cannot barely see 2 squares ahead of him. He can only see the 1 square that's immediately around him, if that. So you can see how subversive this symbolism is and what they're saying to a member of the police. And cops in America, if you think this just applies to British police, you're kidding yourself, because wait until we see what one of the usages of the Hypercube is in relationship to you. The floor of the house wrapped around the brain itself, wrapped around the Temple of Solomon. The human neocortex, the left and right brain hemispheres, the hemisphere of the sun and the moon. Wrapped around the temple in man, the human brain. And then, upon the prefrontal cortex or third eye, is placed the symbol of mind control. And I mean, people don't see this because they know nothing of the occult. And they think you're just seeing things in patterns that you want to see. No, I'm explaining very specific occult symbols that were actually conveyed to me when I was a member of the occult, and then further studied on my own time, because I pursue knowledge voraciously. And these are known symbols of occultism being used for a very specific purpose. And that purpose is what the stated intent of this symbol is all about, which is mind control. So this has nothing to do with my interpretation of something. I'm telling you what these symbols represent according to the people who made them. And there you see them being used for that very purpose. And what they're saying to the person is, you're so clueless. You're so dumb. You're so painfully dumb that we can put a symbol right on your body that is mocking you in the open and telling you that you're a slave, a pawn, and a mind-controlled minion that we own. And you are too dumb to be able to see it. And get as offended as you like, folks. Police and military out there who may be listening, take total offense if you want. You're the one who is being completely mocked and ridiculed, not me. They're not mocking and ridiculing me. They know I know what they know. See? So they're not going to mock and ridicule me. In knowledge, I'm their equal. The place where it differs in is heart and care and what course of action we're going to take and how we're going to attempt to correct the situation that we're in. That's where I disagree with the dark occultists. We share the same knowledge. But for the people who are involved in an institution like this, you're clueless. And you're being told you're clueless openly. You're being laughed at. I can't even tell you the demonic laughter that I heard when police and military would be brought up in places of meeting. When I would attend dark occult rituals, meetings, etc. The way that they look at the police and military, I'm telling you, they honor and respect their animals. They honor and respect animals. Forget dogs that they might keep as pets or cats. They have high respect for them in relation to people. They have more respect for cattle that they would be getting ready to butcher to eat than they do you. And I'm telling you that their view of the police and military is 1,000 times lower than the average public who just happen to be buying their lies in the media. 1,000 times lower, 1,000 times less respect than who they call the dead, because they look at it like they're so stupid they'll do it to their own kind. They'll enslave their own kind for a paycheck. That's how they think of these people. And could I openly announce on the air that I think the dark occultists are wrong or incorrect? I wish I could, folks, but I couldn't do it. Because they have it exactly right. That's exactly as it is, sadly. We'll be right back. We're back on What on Earth is Happening, talking about the mockery of the police and military through the symbolism of the Hypercube, the symbol of mind control in the dark occult. We were looking at image number 11, an animated GIF showing the Hypercube on the head of a mind-controlled minion of the dark occultists.